All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's explain what you have to do for your E-Day. We are going to complete our lab report from top to bottom based on the evidence we got today in class. So, step one, the very top, we have where we're going to place our title for our lab report. Remember, kiddos, our title should have two things: our independent variable, in this case, our type of soap solution, and then also our dependent variable, the diameter of the bubble. So you want to include your independent variable and your dependent variable in your title. That's going to be it. Question. You should already have your question: which bubble solution will produce the largest bubble? You should already have your hypothesis. Something like, if different bubble solutions are being tested, then the 20% will produce the largest bubble, because then explain why you think so. Next, we need to work on our procedure, kind of a rough description of what we did in the lab, step by step by step. So we're not going to use pronouns like we, I, our, you. We're going to use third person. For example, step one, grab a straw. Step two, place the straw in the 5% soap solution. Step three, collect soap solution and then place it in front of you on your lab table. Step four, slightly tilt your straw at an angle, blow slowly and steadily to produce a large bubble. Step five, record your diameter of your bubble with the ruler. Repeat steps 1 through 5 2 additional times. Step 6, repeat steps 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 for bubble solutions 20% and 33%. Something along those lines, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want to get too detailed, but a rough estimate kind of how we progressed and did our procedure in class. You also want to include where it says describe the technique. That's going to be included in one of your procedure numbers or points about how you blew your bubble. And lastly, this is where you include your picture that you took in class of you blowing your bubble underneath your procedure. Your results and data section, ladies and gentlemen, we are only going to include our data table. We're not going to worry about a bar graph right now. We'll talk about that in class. So for your data table, you need to make sure that your data table has a title. Make sure that each of those parts of your table are labeled properly. And lastly, don't forget to have averages. It's going to be very, very important to gather for our data to use for our conclusion. But you put your data table in there, make sure it's labeled well and has a title. Then finally, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have your conclusion where you explain using CER or claim, evidence, and reasoning. So I believe I linked this in Canvas Calendar for you. If you're struggling, how do I get started? Well, your very first sentence to your conclusion should be your claim. What is your claim? What is your response to that question? The 20% solution produced the largest bubble. Maybe that's your claim. Well, you have your claim, even if it's different than your hypothesis. Your evidence, whatever your evidence supports, that's your claim. And then after you have your claim, you're going to write, again, in paragraph form, what is your evidence? So look back up to your data table, use your averages, and in general, explain your evidence and why your evidence, so how it supports your claim. Also include, was your hypothesis correct or not? If it wasn't, that's okay. If it was, that's great too. You still learned something no matter what, either if your hypothesis is correct or incorrect. Then you want to go into your reasoning, the R part of the CER. You want to use scientific knowledge or concepts that explain why your evidence supports your claim. So if your 20% solution made the biggest bubble, why? If your 5% made the biggest bubble, explain why. So you may need to do a little bit of research and explain, hey, what's the science why my 5% got the biggest bubble? We talked a little bit about this in class with surface tension, about how water molecules are somewhat sticky and they hold together pretty well. But by adding, something that loosens the surface tension, but if you add too much, or I don't want to explain too much, so look up more. We know about surface tension a little bit in class, but hey, use your scientific knowledge and principles to explain why your evidence supports your claim. So ladies and gentlemen, just to recap, you need to have your entire lab report completed. Use this as your guide to complete. And then when you're done, we will talk about this, have this complete when you walk into class on Thursday. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.